Hey everybody, it's GoblinX, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Without further ado, let's start off with our pack 1 pick 1. We've got tons of really strong options here, but I kind of want to build around the Slick Shot show off. This is a really fun one. It's a 2-mana 1/2 Flying Haste, but you can also plot it for 2, so you can cast it for free on the next turn and cast multiple non-creature spells in that same turn. If you do that, you get +2/+0 till end of turn for each non-creature spell you cast. So a really fun one to build around for a very like burn spell heavy kind of deck. Might not be the greatest in drafts, but certainly a really strong card for constructed. Our other strong options are the other rare. This is a really restrictive one. We've got to be black-red specifically. It's a really difficult mana cost, but it is a 5/5 flying trample. It's going to kill you real quick. The Congregation Gryph is an excellent uncommon. These kind of saddle and mount decks have been playing super well. It is hard to outrace that flying lifelink. And the Caught in the Crossfire looks like great removal as well, potentially killing 2 creatures off 1 spell. But I'm rolling with the Slick Shot show off, see if we can cast a bunch of cheap burn and combat tricks and stuff and get some huge damage off that card. For pick number 2, let's see what we got. This Bounding Felidar looks really expensive, but it can get a counter on all of your creatures when it attacks, so that could be pretty big. I don't think Shackle Slinger is very good. It's a little difficult to double spell, so you want a really good payoff for doing so, and this one's just kind of okay, kind of medium. This is very mediocre removal. I guess we could just stick to red with the Irascible Wolverine, which is gonna play pretty well with the show off. Just a good aggressive red card that gives us a bit of card advantage. I think that's pretty fine. Mystical Tether or Throw from the Saddle could be decent options as well, just as cheap removal. In particular, Throw from the Saddle does play well with the show off. It's a cheap non-creature spell that also buffs it again with that +1/+1 till end of turn, so that's kind of cool. But I'll just stick to mono red for now, and a Skewer the Critics is exactly the kind of card that I think will work pretty great in an aggressive red deck with a Slick Shot show off. I guess Spectacle's kind of awkward with the show off, right? Because in order to cast this for the Spectacle cost of 1 single mana, we have to have already dealt damage to our opponent, but we want to cast our spells before we've dealt damage to our opponent to buff the show off. But it's still a really good card, so I'm still just going to take it here. I don't think there's anything super premium, so we stick to red, we stick to burn. Pick number 4, alright, Skewer the Critics copy number 2, keep doing what we're doing. There are actually some pretty strong off-color cards that could convince us to move elsewhere. I don't think it would be incorrect to take like a Prosperity Tycoon here. 2 creatures off the 1 spell. Badlands Revival would be a little bold since it is 2-colored. We'd have to go full Jund here, do some splashing around, but it is also a really powerful card. But I think we're also super happy to just keep taking burn spells that can shoot our opponent in the face for the last few points of damage, or we can use them as cheap removal. Pick number 5, well, I'm pretty happy to be in red because these are some of red's best commons here. The Prickly Pears, 3 mana for a 2/2 and a 1/1 Mercenary. Just a great stat line for the mana cost. The Mercenary's really flexible. You can buff up the pair itself, attacking with a 3-power creature every turn. Take for a Ride is probably solid in a deck that's running Slick Shot show off as well, but it is a little bit more narrow. It's the kind of card you want to use to try to finish off the game. Whereas Prickly Pear is good when you're on the aggressive, and it's good when you're on the defensive. I don't know, Take for a Ride Slick Shot combo does seem kind of fun, and I feel like there'll be less opportunities to get the Take for a Ride since it is an uncommon. I'm actually just going to go full on aggro combo. I'm going to take the Active Treason effect, steal our opponent's biggest blocker, and slap them in the face with it. Just all gas, no brakes, full burn. Nothing but offensive spells if we can. Pick 6, speaking of offensive spells, here's a creature that can't block, so all it does is attack, but it can be reanimated from the grave later in the game if we cast a burn spell or anything that targets our opponents or one of their permanents. So I think Forsaken Miner, Rakdos aggro could be a spot to be, taking that over Trick Shot just because it is quite expensive removal. Pick 7. Now we do have that Terminal Agony option for Rakdos removal, but it's pretty mediocre without consistent ways to discard a card. 4 mana sorcery speed destroy a creature is not that good. I think I'd rather just take a Take Up the Shield, just an excellent combat trick, because combat tricks play super well with the Slick Shot Show Off or any aggressive deck in general, so little Boros speculation there. Alright, pick 8. Go ahead and take a Hellspur Brute. There are a lot of outlaws in the format. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, warlocks, all that kind of stuff. So this can be like a 3-mana 5/4 trample or a 2-mana 5/4 trample sometimes, and it's incredibly good when it's at that rate. But even a 4-mana 5/4 trample is still decent, and it's really hard for it not to be at least a tiny bit cheaper. Currently, we don't have any outlaws, so we will want to draft some cards to go with it, but the Prickly Pears, those are 2 outlaws off of 1 spell. So Prickly Pear, one of Red's best commons, a card we're pretty likely to get being this heavy in red, and red looking kind of open here, means I think we'll have plenty of outlaws in the deck by the end of the draft, even if we don't right now. And now we can stick to our Boros aggro with this Take Up the Shield, taking a Ride Down now. Excellent way to just clear out a blocker and get all of your damage in thanks to the trample. So that looks good for Boros aggro here. We can also take Snakeskin Veil for a cheap combat trick and just be really open. Boros or Rakdos or Gruul. Pick 10. I don't really like any of these cards, honestly. They're all okay. I do like Rope Master, actually, if your opponent is being consistently aggressive. 5-mana 4/4 bounce a creature's pretty great, but I don't know. I'll just take a Gold Pan. Most flexible card. Alright, another Ride Down. Although Quick Draw is nice too for an aggressive deck. I think I'm just going to go full speed ahead Boros aggro from here. We lock in, getting both copies of Ride Down. Really need to get some more creatures now out of this next pack. We've got a lot of our non-creatures to buff the Slick Shot Show Off. Get a bunch of damage in. Alright, well, there's a big creature. Looking for more like 2-mana creatures ideally, but hey, if we get a gigantic horse to end the game, that's cool too. I mean, look at this thing. There's a molten horse. That looks sick. Honestly, I haven't even read the text. It just looks cool. That's a lie. I've read it in the past. It's a gigantic haster, and you can tap another one of your creatures, so that when you attack in with this, you're attacking in with 2 copies of whatever you tapped alongside it. Pack 2, pick 2. I like Explosive Derailment, but I think red is more open than white, so we probably try to wheel that and take one of these premium uncommons from the whites. I want to keep our curve pretty low, so I am going to go for Prairie Dog over Prosperity Tycoon, but I think both of these are good. The Tycoon being 2 creatures off 1 card is great, but Prairie Dog, 2-mana 2/2 lifelinker with any amount of upside is good, and the upside on this is if we plot a spell the next turn instead of casting a spell, then it's going to get a +1/+1 counter. If we just hold up instant speed stuff, it'll get a +1/+1 counter. Lots of decent ways to skip a turn with this and buff it up. So I like that, that Prairie Dog. Now, pack 2, pick 3. Leyline Binding is honestly just okay in a 2-color deck. It's 4-mana instant speed removal. The more colors you're playing, the better it gets. I don't think it's that great here to take it when we already have double Skewer, double Ride Down. I'd rather grab another creature, and I like getting another 2-drop. This one being a little bit of card selection, ditching whatever we don't need to help try to find what we do. I like the Reckless Lackey as well. You just poke in for a couple points of damage early game, and it always cycles away, gives you your card back later by sacking it. And I don't hate the Bighorn either, but I think Peddler is most consistent of all these, so I'll grab that. And I think it's definitely the Peddler or the little Lackey, because those are both outlaws, whereas the Bighorn is not, and I'd like to make this brute a little cheaper. Pick 4, we can grab an Omen Port Vigilante here. We have a decent amount of crimes already. Take for a Ride is a crime, Skewer the Critics is a crime, Ride Down is a crime. Let's get some double strike attacks in with this. This is also an outlaw for the Hellspur Brute. Pretty happy to take Vigilante, basically just over Derailment. And again, the reason we take it over the removal is we have 4 removal spells and not a ton of creatures yet. Pick 5. Outlaw Medic is an outlaw if we really want to up the outlaw count, but I do like the Cunning Coyote. What, 2 mana, 2/2 haste, and you give another card +1/+1 haste till end of turn when you play it? So you could plot it on turn 2 so that on turn 3 you play a 3-drop and haste in with both of the cards. It's pretty fancy. Pretty cool card. We'll play around with it here. Keep that 2-drop count really high. Pick 6. Quick Draw's a great trick. Abraded Bluffs is fixing that also is a crime for our Omen Port Vigilantes, so that's nice too. What is this? +2/+0 to something each turn, or menace to something each turn? That's just okay for a 3-mana enchantment that just sits there. Supplier seems fine, Mind Raider seems fine, Quick Draw seems fine. I think I'm going to take the dual land. Let's grab the crime land. Pick 7. Rest in Peace is meaningless in draft, but it's a cool card. We've got a Vengeful Townsfolk. It's probably the best. We've got a decent creature count. This is a 3-mana 3/3 at worst. So it's much better than previous cards that were like this, like a 2-mana 1/1 with the same text is what they used to print all the time. But this card is just already, you know, a solidly sized creature for that mana cost, and it just gets better if your stuff dies. Untap, target all creatures target player controls. Target creature gains double strike till end of turn. I'm definitely supposed to take a Stagecoach security here, but it is so hard to resist giving the Slick Shot show off double strike. I'm going to take the trick. We're really supposed to take a Stagecoach security there, though. It's perfect at the 4/5 mana slot on the curve, give all of our earlier creatures vigilance and get a big swing in, but double strike show off is hilarious. So I will open myself up to that opportunity. What is this? 5-mana vehicle. It crews for only once. It's easy to crew, but that is a large mana investment. I don't think I'll play either of these, but I'm really not playing an Armadillo. Alright, I could play a Bighorn. Alright, we've got 20 cards right now. We only need a few more playables to round out the deck. And any more we get from there, we get to cut some of our more mediocre cards and try to make the deck even better. It's like a pretty solid place to be as we head into that final pack. All right, pack 3, pick 1. There's Tarnation Vista. That is useless in draft. We could try to fling our show off. That's kind of fun. We do sack the creature as a cost to casting, though, so it won't get the buff pre-fling resolving. It is cool. We can probably wheel fling. I don't imagine anybody else wants the fling, so we take the Wolverine to stay lower on the curve and aggressive over the Stagecoach security. But the Wolverine or the security, we would definitely take these over the fling, because the fling will come back, but I don't think either of these will. So let's take the Wolverine and try to get the fling back. Feel like that's a solid spot to be. Pack 3, pick 2. Do we have a high enough creature count for Outlaw's Fury? Probably not, so we don't have any token production. Yeah, only 13 creatures. Probably better to just take cheap removal like Journey to Nowhere, just 2 mana, exile a creature, period. Summoner could be okay here, but we don't have a lot of 4-power creatures. We're trying to, like, combat trick or equipment something up to get the triggers on this. Yeah, I think I'd rather just have a Journey to Nowhere. Get things out of the way. Ooh, Eartha Joe? Double our activated abilities. That doesn't matter too much, but 4 mana 2/4 plus a mercenary, and the mercenary trigger goes off twice when we activate it. Seems decent to me. Pick 4. What is this? Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, get a 1/1 mercenary. I don't think we're super good at doing that, but we're not terrible at it. Oh, the Shepherd of the Clouds is just broken, though. You don't have to mount for this card to be good. You could just play a 5-mana 4/3 Flying Vigilance Gravedigger, and it's already really good. Right? Like a 4/3 Flying Vigilance is a game-ending size of a threat, and you're up a card when you play it, picking up your best cheap creature that died. Yeah, it's definitely Shepherd of the Clouds. Really easy to miss this card early in the format, but this is probably one of the best uncommons in the whole set. Pick 5, another Wolverine looks good to me. Take that over the Ferocification or the Abraded Bluffs. We're at 25 non-lands right now. We want to be at 24 non-lands, so I'll drop this 3 mana 2/4. Pick 6. Quick Draw's fine, and Omenport Vigilante is fine. Grab the Vigilante. Pick 7. Holy cow. Probably not going to take that, though, because we've got a Caught in the Crossfire. There are a lot of beefy, high-toughness creatures in the format, so this isn't always going to be able to kill something, but I think it makes up for it when sometimes it kills 2 cards off of 1 spell. Take the Caught in the Crossfire there. Pick 8. +1/+1 counter on all of your creatures. Probably a fine backup plan for a main deckable Naturalize, right? Although there's Stagecoach security, which is great top end. I think our top end's pretty good already. I'm going to try this Requisition Raid thing out. Maybe we can wheel that first Stagecoach. Someone took the Fling and not the Stagecoach security. Very strange. Well, I mean, I guess the other red players aren't in white. Never mind. Not that strange, but that actually makes our not taking the Stagecoach security play out pretty well for us, because I think we have enough top end to not need the 2 of them here. Yeah, we've got like 3 4-drops, 5 5-drops. I actually like this Keykeeper over the Peddler, because this is a way to commit a crime every single turn, and we do have double Omenport Vigilante, so that could be kind of sweet. Right, like we tap their blocker, we've now committed a crime for the Omenport Vigilante to be double striker, and they don't have the blocker up anymore, and then we send in the double strike. It's pretty cool. Ooh, got all the quick draws to come back. I think this is a solid quick draw deck. Bunch of 2 and 3 mana creatures. Even if they don't have triggers when we're casting non-creatures, that's the kind of deck that would want a 1 mana combat trick. It's a deck with a lot of 2 and 3 mana creatures. And obviously if we have the show off, then it's insane. So we have 50 cards right now. We need to cut 10. We'll probably cut a land if we cut any of these like 4 or 5 mana cards, but if not, maybe we don't cut a land. I think we need the gold pan. I also noticed, I think I misread Caught in the Crossfire, unfortunately. Yeah, this is 2 to each outlaw or each non-outlaw, so it's more of a controlling miniature board wipe kind of thing. This doesn't seem great for our deck where we are curving out a lot. We're going to blow up a lot of our own stuff. So I think we drop those. Return the Favor's pretty cool, but pretty narrow. So like if your opponent casts a removal spell while you have 4 mana untapped, then you get the blowout. You get to cast 2 removal spells against them because you fork their own removal spell back at their card instead of shooting yours, and you duplicate it. But the problem is that you're going to want to like curve out with all your creatures and get aggressive and stuff, so often the way things are going to play is by the time you are holding 4 mana up for this thing, it's too late and they're not actually casting anything that's targeting, and then you're just down a card that game. So it's kind of a coin flip thing where like if you do cast this against a removal spell, you probably are in an incredibly good position, but if you don't get that opportunity, then you have essentially mulliganed and done nothing. So I don't know about that one. Put it on the chopping block, but I'm not going to instantly cut it. So for our other spells, got a lot of removal-y stuff, a lot of combat tricky stuff. We probably want to drop some of these. Maybe Requisition Raid, maybe Quick Draws. Could commit a crime to our opponent with this. Untap all of our opponent's creatures, that's a crime. So if we want to get both the Vigilantes going. It's probably on the chopping block as well, though. Because it's mainly for, like, if we have the show-off on board, maybe we double strike kill them. Yeah, I think all of these other spells are more consistent and better than these ones. So these are on the chopping block. For 2-mana creatures, honestly, the least consistent 2-mana creatures we have are probably the Omen Port Vigilantes, but they still have such potential, like, blowout upside when they do trigger that I kind of want to keep them in. And I guess the Peddler is the most kind of filler of all the other 2-mana creatures. Yeah, I don't really want to cut any of these, but if I do cut 2-drops, it would be some combination of these. For 3-drops, probably the Townsfolk. We're going to be a bit of a lower creature count deck, so we're not going to have creatures dying all the time, and I do like the card draw of the Wolverine quite a bit for a more aggressive deck to keep us rolling, make sure we still have stuff to do. I don't really like either of these mounts that much. Like, I guess the only thing I like about them is, like, if I have one on board, then the Shepherd becomes insane instead of really good. But being really good is good enough, and I don't think these mounts are particularly good in the deck otherwise. So we're trying to go just super cheap blowout curves instead of beefier creature things. Speaking of super cheap blowout curves, the Brute is more of a 4-drop than a 5-drop. Because we have one... Uh-oh, maybe it's not. We have 1, 2... because this makes a mercenary token, so that's 2 outlaws if we cut all of these, but if we keep in a couple vigilantes, that's 4 outlaws. This is actually not that great in here. We're going to have like 4 outlaws maximum? We might actually cut that. Glad I recounted on that one. We have enough other 5-drops that I think we are cutting some combination, so maybe it's the Brute as the cut there. Security, I like the flexibility of it being 4 or 5 mana quite a lot. The Shepherd is an insane flying endgame card, and the Calamity's a really fun finisher. So that leaves Sterling Suppliers the next weakest of the 5-drops, but I think this is pretty good too. Big Flyer, buff another card. There was a version of this card in Brothers War. It was a 5-mana 3/4 flyer that would put a +1/+1 counter onto specifically another soldier you control. And that card was excellent. And this is just a more flexible version of that. So it still seems pretty good. Alright, so here's the chopping block. We're cutting 8 things off of the chopping block. I think we are going to lower that curve a bit, where I am perfectly happy to cut a land here. Maybe use Wolverines to impulse draw into lands sometimes. Probably a white source. We're going to be deeper or heavier red than white, more likely than not. Kind of want to keep the Vigilante, double strike stuff in. Maybe the 1-mana quick draws get dropped. Let's cut the 5-drop. Cut the big dorky creatures. 2 more cuts to go. Full speed ahead. Let's keep all the 2-drops in here. Another 3-drop now, leaving that curve low. Drop a 5-mana flyer. That blowout potential on Return the Favor is so cool, but again, the wrong time, it's doing nothing. I mean, what is this on average going to be, right? Like 2 +1/+1 counters? We go 2-drop, 3-drop Requisition Raid. We're not blowing stuff up that often. I guess if we're playing against white, almost all of the white removal spells are enchantment based, so this is super good against white decks. There are some decent artifacts. It's kind of similar to the Return the Favor, right? Both of these cards, for like the last addition to our deck, like it's just completely dependent on what happens through the course of the game. With our mana curve being so low, just so many 2-drops here, we might be a deck that can just, you know, flood out dump our whole hand on the board and then hold up 4 mana on turn 4 sometimes. So I kind of like that for the Return the Favor. But then, depending on our matchup, sometimes Requisition Raid would be an incredible card to have. I'm going to go for the Return the Favor, and then as soon as I lose a game with this hand as soon as I lose a game with this stuck in my hand and we never cast it, we'll swap it out for Requisition Raid, and then we'll just keep going back and forth. Let's go ahead and call it a deck here. All right, here's our final deck list for today. We're on a Boros Hyper Aggro build. We have tons of 2-mana creatures and a few 3-mana creatures to just slam things onto the board early. And then we're just going to be casting tons of removal spells to keep that path clear and try to just lethal our opponent out before they get to enough mana to play anything particularly scary of their own. We have Journey to Nowhere, double Skewer the Critics, double Ride Down to clear a path. We've got a Take for a Ride to steal their best blocker and try to kill them with it. We've got the excellent combat trick of Take Up the Shield to trade upwards. And Wrestler Rampage for maybe a big double strike kill. Lots of cheap ways to clear a path and get extra damage in. But we aren't completely, not top heavy, but we're not completely front loaded here with cheap cards. We've got a couple big finishers. The Stagecoach Security giving our whole board +1/+1 Vigilance is pretty huge. Eartha Joe being 2 creatures off 1 spell is great. Shepherd of the Clouds being a big flying vigilant finisher that also recurs our best creature back to our hand is also excellent. And then, of course, our one pretty spicy top-end rare is pretty fun. Calamity Galloping Inferno. If we can resolve this thing, it might just kill our opponent out of nowhere. We resolve this and then saddle it with whatever our best enter the battlefield effect creature is. Attack with it and 2 copies of the creature and just go crazy. Like, if we saddle up Calamity with Stagecoach Security, our whole board gets +2/+2 till end of turn, and we're attacking with a 4/6 and 2 4/5s that all have +2/+2. Yeah, it's just an insane amount of damage. But even if we just saddle it up with a Wolverine, that's a draw 2 off of the Wolverine. If we saddle up a Shepherd of the Clouds, that's going to pick up 2 permanents from our grave. We've got a lot of pretty nasty Calamity combos, not to mention that it's going to be attacking for a ton of damage. So, really fun looking, really sweet, super aggro deck here. We'll see how it all plays out for us as we head into the gameplay. Here we are for game 1. This is an awkward opener, being on mono red and a little flooded, but the Peddler, at the very least, gets to ditch him out and draw us another card to do some digging. So I think I will keep this, but just barely. Drawn to a Skewer the Critics. Not bad at all. We could do Show Off turn 2, Skewer their blocker turn 3. Hit for 3 in the sky. Although they probably won't have a flying blocker by then. Well, never mind, they've got a reach creature, so they do. Ooh, a Take Up the Shield? So let's see, do I just want to get this on the board now? If I play it, I'm not attacking in with it right now anyway, so I might as well plot it so that it doesn't die to sorcery speed removal. But is it better to Peddler is the question. Probably not. Let's just plot this, since I'm not attacking with it anyway. We'll tuck it away, keep it safe against sorcery removal. Ooh, they're trying to commit a crime here so that they can seize the secrets for only 2. Alright, well, they could have also just cast it for 3 and attacked me for 1, so it was cute, but basically no crazy combo there or anything. Alright, let's show off Skewer the Duelist. I hit them for 2 more damage if I Skewer pre-combat, but if I Skewer post-combat, I can also play a Peddler this turn. Or hold up a Take Up the Shield. Yeah, I guess I'm going to hit a little less hard here. I think either of those is pretty nice. Way to use our mana. Alright, there's a Wolverine. Pretty sweet. playing against Grixis over there. Blue, black, and red. Some really controlling colors with a lot of removal, which does not bode well for an aggressive deck. It's another skewer. How does this work? When it deals combat damage to a player, if you've committed a crime, you can sacrifice it to search your library for a card and put it in your hand. Wait a second. Let me commit a crime real quick. And then deal damage with that? And then sacrifice it to search my deck for whatever I want? Just get the world's cleanest 2-for-1 for free? Oh no. The built-in self-sacrifice? Okay, we've got 4 mana, so I probably don't take Calamity. I think our next best card is probably Shepherd. I'm only 1 mana away from that one, so it seems worth. Well, that's not fun for our opponent. That is super rude. And they're plot something. Plot an Outlaw Stitcher. So if they cast it alongside a bunch of spells next turn, it's going to be huge blocks. Okay, so I just shepherd back a land to my hand. Well, that's not nothing. Alternatively, what is the damage output here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from casting both of these. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? Put them to 2 life? Think it's still better to just play Shepherd? Because we can still double up both these spells next turn and try to go for the big blowout kill. Because this is going to be like a lot of blockers on the ground. It's not going to block Shepherd the Clouds, and it's not going to block the Slick Shot show off. So we'll just threaten even more flying damage next turn. Alright, there's the Desert Stew on the Shepherd. They still have 4 mana up for a tapped blocker on the ground, and then here's the Stitcher. Okay. Large stuff off the Stitcher, but no blocks for the show-off. Which means we skewer the face pre-combat and probably take up the shield as well over Wolverine. It's not lethal, it's 1 damage off. But put them to 1. I don't think it's insane to hold up the take up the shield here. Or I don't think it's insanely good to hold up take up the shield here because they could have -X removal or exile removal. And that would still just kill it, even if we held up take up the shield. And they do not have removal, regardless. So we will find the kill there and start things off 1-0, heading into game 2. We're prairie dogging it. We are on the play for game 2. Prairie dog into plot a Wolverine. Get a counter on the prairie dog. Seems good. Ooh. Turn 4, we can plot a stagecoach security and get another counter on prairie dog while casting the Wolverine. Although, if I cast the Wolverine from exile and I don't just hit like a land on top, I'll be a little bit sad. This doesn't have Death Touch, right? Nope. Really good mana dork, though. It untaps itself as they commit crimes and get bonus mana out of it. Pretty fancy. Ooh. If I do hit a land next turn, I might be pretty interested in just holding 4 mana up. Try to get the double return the favor. Ornery Tumblewag. Oh no. Oh no, we're getting bombered. We need to kill this thing instantaneously or it will completely overwhelm us. Please hit a land, Wolverine. I would appreciate it greatly. Come on, top deck. Okay, not a land, but that's big damage. And it's a spell that is not from our hand. Hold the phone. Yeah, this is casting a spell not from our hand, so Prairie Dog gets another counter. You know what? Sure. And I get a permanent +1/+1 counter from the Tumblewag onto one of our cards. Oh no, I can double the counters? Whenever it attacks while saddled, double the number of +1/+1 counters on target creature. So I can saddle it with the Wolverine, put a counter on Prairie Dog, double the Prairie Dog counters? That seems really good. Woo! Alright, well that was fun. And we have a 7/7 Prairie Dog on turn 4. Just borrow your rare for a second. And now here's where we get blown out for not hitting land 4. I will be so sad if they have a good removal spell here, because Return the Favor would have been super sick. But again, at least we got a super sick attack still. We still got some fancy stuff going with Take for a Ride. Ooh, alright, they didn't have the removal. Prairie Dog's gonna just keep it rolling. They have to outrace a 7/7 lifelinker at minimum now. So we might be not that worried about the Tumblewag. I mean, it's gonna keep doubling up, so it's gonna get insanely big. Yeah, it will eventually, like, moderately quickly be able to outrace us. That is not a 4th land for the Return the Favor, so we just hold up the Rustler Rampage, I guess. Spree it for 3. Just get another Prairie Dog counter. I mean, if they just don't block Prairie Dog, we'll just kill them. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, they'll just trump here. Could hit them for 6, but 6 is not lethal. So let's just hold. What is the other part of this? For 5 mana, you can add another +1/+1 counter each turn. Yeah, that part doesn't really matter. Sterling Hound, alright. And is also not removal. Tumblewag is going to be too big for us to first strike away, I think, right? It's going to be 12 power. We'll have 11. It's exactly too big. It's 1 toughness too big for us to blow them out with this. Yeah, I have 11 first striking power off of Rustler Rampage. Oh no, it's just 1 creature gets double strike. Never mind. It's untap all creatures, but just 1 gets the double strike. Makes sense. Alright. I can trade Prairie Dog into the Tumblewag, but then how am I killing them? We can take 12 and we're still at like 16. If a single creature gets through, Rustler Rampage kills them, so let's go for that. And hope they let the Wolverine through. No lands, no problem, fingers crossed. Dang it. Well. Still untap all our creatures so that we chump block the Tumblewag with the Wolverine now. Change target of a target spell or ability with a single target. That's not worth it here. Could Rustler Rampage? What am I at here? 20... 24. Tumblewag. Tumblewag's gonna attack for 22. No, 22. Tumblewag's gonna attack for 24 because it gets 1 more counter, then doubles them. So I need to have a blocker up, which means I'm doomed here, right? Because if I Rustler Rampage the Wolverine for double strike, it still trades. If I Return the Favor, I don't have a blocker up. This whole quick draw nonsense. I guess I could Rustler Rampage just for double strike on Prairie Dog to gain enough life to not die, but then I don't have the Oops double strike lethal as a potential play in the future. Yeah, I think this just kind of kills us no matter how we play it, but I am going to hold on for a hope that they play a burn spell or something weird and maybe Return the Favor does something. If not, we will have to gain 9 life and chump block. Well, if they attack with more than one creature, actually, we're in a good position. Because then we can first strike away a different attacker and gain 9 and just take all the Tumblewag damage and still have the Prairie Dog. So no, this is actually really good against a go wide attack still. Which they're kind of prone to doing here, right? Because they don't want to get 0 damage against an instant speed removal spell. But I guess they don't care. They're so fine with putting all their eggs in one basket. Spell or ability with a single target? Hold on, wait a second. Spell or ability? Wait. Hold up. Yeah! Okay. Well, I guess that works. What is this game? We still probably lose eventually, but we are incapable of drawing lands. We gain enough life to take quite some time to die still. Well, that was fun, at least. I need to top deck a land. I'm gonna cast this thing. I mean, what is a 17th counter on Prairie Dog? Or a 15th +1/+1 counter on Prairie Dog, honestly. Gotta ditch something expensive. Vigilance still feels like a potentially big deal, but also a chump blocker feels like a big deal. I guess I gotta ditch the 6-drop as good as it is. Wow, alright, well. Apparently the difference between a 17 and 16 land deck is monumental. Alright, let's see if they have removal for Peddler. If they do, I think we're dead. If they don't, we chump and keep doing our Prairie Dog thing. They put a 12th counter on it, then double, so 24 + 2. That's 26. Which is lethal, because they attack with the Bandit as well. 26 from Tumblewag and 1 with Bandit. If they have a removal spell for Peddler. Plus, if they have removal for Peddler, the green removal gives like +1/+1 to their creature anyway. Probably just double checking the math here to make sure it's lethal if they removal spell here. I'm gonna full control so I can put the fear in them. That doesn't look like lethal to me. Maybe it's a trample trick. Oh no, don't do it at instant speed, whatever it is. Betrayal. Blow up both of our cards. God dang it. Well, at least we're not dead right now. They could have lethaled us. Setting in Bandit as well, since it untaps for committing the crime. I guess I have 1 draw step. But I need to find something that deals 6, which is far from possible with 3 mana. Oh. This would have killed them literally any other turn. That's a really sad way to end it. What are you gonna do? Still a very, very respectable showing from our deck. against a bomb rare we had no removal for, and being completely stuck on mana the whole game. It's a loss in the end, but given the circumstances, our deck still fought pretty hard, so that makes me feel confident for the future. Alright, we got the show off to roll out and just hold up this return the favor, see if it does anything this time. It did do something last game. It was cute. Prevent that lethal. Now let's just poke for one, and if they've got sorcery speed removal, they've got it. That's fine, because we actually hit for damage by hasting it out right now. Ooh, what is a little bit awkward is we're playing against Esper, so it's fully possible that they just won't even have a creature out by the time they cast removal. Alright, I would really rather return the favor for 4 than do it for 3, so I'm cool to spend the turn on Wolverine. Hope that this finds our white source for Ride Down. Cast a free Buzzard. And just trade their flyer for ours. That is super fine. That's a 1-for-1 trade. It's like moderately disappointing, but we don't have a bunch of instant sorceries here. Perfect. We can't spam instants or sorceries particularly well with our current hand. Hello, 3-2. I'm going to take that damage. I think we'd rather hit them for 3 than trade these things on board. 1 mana away from Calamity, that could be real cool. So return the favor against removal isn't crazy until they have 2 permanents for us to kill. So I think we're actually fine to just tap out again. No discard here, I think. I mean, maybe ditch the Ride Down, since return the favor might be our removal. But I think I'm just going to not discard. 4-4. Hello, 4-4. 4-4 is actually kind of beef against our deck. Still racing? Yeah, I've got the Calamity. I mean, 2-2 for 3-2 would have been a reasonable block. Definitely not anything else. There's Calamity. When it attacks while saddled, choose a non-legendary that saddled it, make 2 tokens. So I can attack with a 4-6, a 2-2, and 2 3-2s. But they have a blocker here. I would need the Ride Down. I shouldn't have played my land yet. We're just going to go Wolverine for this turn. We'll come at Calamity when it looks like it'll be surprise lethal. Yeah, I just missed a card because played my land pre-Wolverine. Oof. Now I can Ride Down and still hold up the big return the favor, so we'll do that. They might have the counter unless we pay 2 that they're considering using, so we have less mana up. That'd be deceptively annoying. Okay, that's not as bad. Sure, bounce it. I think we still get the trample. Maybe not. Maybe this doesn't resolve anymore. I think we do. Creatures that were blocked by that creature gain trample. No, we don't get the trample anymore. Dang. I guess because the one actual target of the spell is no longer on board, so the entire spell doesn't resolve. Go to 2? 2's not 0. I can return the favor any kind of burn they cast. Blood Hustler, alright. Let's see, 6, 7, 8. Oh, shoot. don't think we can get there. Can Calamity. 4/6 gets blocked. 1 of 3 attacking Wolverines gets blocked. They take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is not lethal. I could skewer and double it with Return the Favor to kill both the blockers, attack for 6, 7, 8, which is not lethal. I could attack with everybody and post-combat skewer and hold up Return the Favor, but then I just die on board. This might be the game where we cut Return the Favor. Very well could get me killed here. Double skewer and chump, or I can just skewer and hold up return. Well, hopefully they play removal and try to attack with both rather than just using Blood Hustler and attacking with both. I can very barely survive them using Blood Hustler and attacking with both, I think. I think I can change the target of the ability. I guess they're not their own opponent, though, so I can't make their Hustler drain themselves, can I? And they'll have committed a crime either way, right? By targeting us. Yeah, I don't think Return the Favor can stop this. Well, if they do it post-combat, then maybe. Let's see. If this works, then we win. Let's find out. Oh, it does, because it's mine now. Hey, and then this is 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10? Hold up. This is 10, right? Yeah! Oh my god, that was so close. If they had just committed a crime pre-combat, we would just be dead if they did that earlier. Whew, even if I did the redirect thing, because this would have been 2 damage to me, I'd be at 0 instead of 1. Oh my god, that was close. Alright, well, sneaky little 10 damage Calamity, sneaky little steal their life gain drain thing. Weird? I still feel like Return the Favor's been pretty bad, but it's been so interesting since it did technically barely get us the win there in the end. I kind of want to leave it in because it was also hilarious when we got to make their Tumbleweed double up the counters on our Prairie Dog. Just for the memes, I'm rolling with it. It's staying in. It makes weird things happen. It also makes me hold up a bunch of mana and never end up doing anything with that mana because our opponent just doesn't cast removal spells. So, again, it's probably like lowering our win rate, not being that great. Lowering our chance of winning and stuff. With all the extra mana I'm holding and just praying, but it's funny. It's goofy. And it's sticking in the deck. Well, well, well. 2-drop, 2-drop, 2-drop. Abraded Bluffs. Absolutely keep this. We're going to keep Abraded Bluffs as land 3 to commit a crime with the Vigilantes both on board. And well, with at least one of them on board. Maybe not both. Okay. If I draw another non-crime land, then I will play both Vigilantes before I play the Abraded Bluffs. So we want to play Vigilante. What's the most damage output we get here, right? It's like Vigilante, plot a Coyote, and then haste Vigilante next turn. I think that's the highest damage output that we're capable of doing. Because then we have a 3/3 double strike getting in next turn from committing the crime. Thanks to the haste. Ooh, Prairie Dog. Sadly, slightly late. Please don't have the blue counter spell. I'd be really sad either way. They counter the vigilante or they counter the coyote. They didn't counter anything, but they might bounce something or shoot something. Be surprised if they have no plays still with this 3 mana up. Looks like a bounce. Oh no, just make it a 0-1? So just stop a couple points of damage. It's not great. They're down to 9 still. Feels good. You just hold all their mana up, do nothing. Drop a Prairie Drog, hold up, take up the shield. Prairie Drog. I can't speak. Oh. Well, hello. That's an issue. 4 mana, 6/5 trample, flash. Yeah, that's a reasonable magic card. Let's keep as many threats on board as possible to try to go wide around their blockers and still find lethal by attacking with more creatures than they have blockers. Yeah, that's 2 blockers, but they're at 8. We can hit for 4 and have their life total. It's not quite it. Could dump all my mana on the Prairie Dog and put 2 counters on it. Instead of playing Townsfolk, I feel like it's better to get a wider board state than it is to just get 2 counters on Prairie Dog. And we're just trying to get Oops Calamity lethal. Okay, please no counterspell. Oh, not only is it a counterspell, it's one of the best limited counters ever printed. Mystic Snake from the bonus sheet, the special guests. Could not have gone any worse. Block, 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 take 4. Yep, that is a pass the turn kind of moment. Well, yeah, counterspell plus blocker, huge stuff from Mystic Snake. Although I guess, supposedly, if you think about it this way, that would have been exactly as bad as the common counterspell in this format, because the common counterspell is counter unless you pay 2 and make a 2/2 flyer once they have 5 mana up. Well, eventually Prairie Dog's too big. Oh, hello there. That's a crime. Whatever blocks the 3/3 Vigilante is going to get blown up, and then they're both going to be double strike. That's 6 double striking damage getting trampled through. It's lethal on board. I think we go for it. The longer we wait, the more likely they are to draw more counter spells. And just the less likely it is that any of this resolves. Okay. Yep, I mean, it's like if they have the counter spell or the hexproof trick, they win. If they don't, we win. But why delay the inevitable? Let's have it happen now. We will find out who's the winner on this turn instead of 3 or 4 turns from now. Just repeatedly activating Prairie Dog. I don't know what happens here, but it resolves because I can't do anything about this, right? That's still lethal. Okay. They didn't have the counterspell. That was, I think, correct to just send everybody in. Especially with what they ended up having in hand. Obviously, if they didn't have the counterspell, yes, just kill them. But also, they had card draw in hand to dig farther and get even closer to counters for later. Okay. Well, almost got blown up by the Mystic Snake, but top deck that ride down, get the double strike damage in, get the trample damage in, right on time, and we are 3-1 heading into game 5. Here we are now for game 5. We got that turn 2 Omen Port Vigilante with cheap removal to clear a path and slam in with double strike. We've got a Mercenary to buff up the power, add to the double striking damage. This could be pretty fun. It does crumble to a removal spell. If they just kill Vigilante, then... Alright, we're sitting here, tell Eartha Joe. But we'll see. See what we got here. Or I guess more accurately, see what they've got here. They're on blue-green with Rise of the Varmints. Ooh, I hit a Prairie Dog. I think I still just play Omen Port Vigilante, because I might cast Journey to Nowhere or Skewer the Critics next turn. But I'm not going to skip a spell next turn. I'm not going to play a Prairie Dog and then not play Vigilante the turn after. So there's a chance I get Vigilante value this turn, but no chance I get Prairie Dog value this turn. Alright, I don't think Prairie Dog's like ever going to get the counter. Oh, I meant the +1/+1 counter, not the counter spell out of my opponent's hand, but I am actually okay with them countering Prairie Dog. Because again, as I literally just said, I don't think we're going to be skipping playing a spell for a long time with this hand. We're going to Earth the next turn for sure, and then we're going to clear out blockers. If they still don't have blockers by the time Eartha is resolved and doesn't have Summoning Sickness, I would be very surprised. 2/4 Defender, sack a land, draw a card, get a treasure, clear a path, or just drop Eartha? Let's just drop Eartha. We can still clear a path next turn and get more damage by doing so. We'll be double striking and getting an extra power from the Mercenary. I don't think they want to use the Red Rock Sentinel right now because they missed a land drop, I think. I think they're on the play here. So I doubt they want to sack lands. Maybe with Outcaster Greenblade. That card is insanely good, by the way. Search your library for a basic or desert, reveal it, put in your hand, shuffle. +1/+1 for each desert. Just super, super sick stuff. Alright, so... we can Journey to Nowhere the Red Rock Sentinel to commit a crime, double strike up the Vigilante, and then post-combat skewer the Greenblade. Feels good. I mean, I could skewer the Greenblade right now and hit for 2 more damage this turn. Oh, snap, I forgot about the double buff. Maybe I should have buffed Eartha. No, this is 8 damage off Vigilante if they don't chump. If I skewer the Greenblade, this is 10 damage, but then I don't have a crime to commit. No, I could untap all their creatures next turn. That is a crime. Yeah. I'll untap all their creatures next turn for my crime. I forgot that this doubles the Mercenary trigger. That's so nice with double strike. Well... if they don't have anything, I can kill them with Rustler Rampage, but if they have something, it's so much better to play the Shepherd. And I can still put them to 2, even if I don't cast the Rampage, so... Let's just put them to 2, unless they do something 3 damage. And then we'll see if maybe Rampage can kill. They control 2 deserts, so -4/-4. Rampage will not save Eartha, but it can give Vigilante double strike and still hit them to 2. Now we just play the Shepherd. Get our Prairie Dog back to hand. Spinewood's Paladin for some life gain. Not enough life gain, though. Because now we just double strike the flyer, and that's the kill. Yeah, sure, they're tapped out. We'll just do it the simple way. Slam for 10. Plenty of other fancy things we could do there. Like, since 4 power double strike's already lethal, we could have buffed our creature on the ground and then also untapped all their creatures to commit a crime to attack with a 6/2 double strike on the ground and a 4 power double strike in the sky, but it's like, it's all lethal. It doesn't matter. We are now 4-1, guaranteed a positive win rate out of this draft, which is pretty nice because it's a spicy one. It's interesting stuff. And at least breaking even no matter what. So see if we can keep it up heading into round 6. Here we are on the play for round 6. We got the slick shot show off. Pretty fun one. I actually haven't done the math to know if it's better to just haste out a 2/2 coyote or to like plot it then play a keykeeper with haste or something. It's probably just best to like go. I have no idea. I don't know. My brain is not functioning. What is the best curve with this hand? Wow, this is a hard one. Probably Keykeeper, plot a Wolverine. Depending on what we hit off of Wolverine, maybe it's like free Wolverine, give it haste off Coyote. A lot of stuff to choose from here. I think it is plot the Wolverine now this turn. And then if the Wolverine just finds a land, we get to show off and have the Coyote haste off, or haste up the Wolverine. Lullaby the Keykeeper, sure. What do you have for us, Wolverine? Because that's going to decide what we play here. It's going to be a land? Alright, so it is show off Coyote then. For sure. Big hasty swing here. Look at all this damage. Yeah, that's the flex tape seal of approval on that one. Bruce Tarl. Oh, Bruce is one of those like busted rares that instantly makes a creature, right? Oh no, if it's a land, it makes the creature. Because it's a non-land, they can cast it till the end of their next turn. Okay, so it is one of the cards. It's like they draw a card off of it even if I skewer it immediately. But I'm going to skewer it immediately. So there's that. Did still draw them a card. Luckily, it drew them a 1/2. It's not a particularly great card. They have a lot of silver deputies. Oh no, this is the same one that's up there. That's just Arena showing me the one in exile. Okay, they have 2 silver deputies that we've seen. They are at 8 life, facing a few creatures here, so they gotta be... Uh-oh, that's balmy. +1/+1 counter for every land they play. It's a 3/3 already, so it stops our 2/2 from sending in. They're gonna plot the Stingerback Terror. Big yikes. How many cards do I have in my deck that cost more than 3 mana? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the 27 cards here would be misses on Wolverine. Everything else would be a hit. I think I hardcast it to have more attackers next turn. And, you know, I've got a 1 in 6 chance of failing here. 4 of the 27. Yeah, that's like 4 times 6 is 26. So yeah, like 1 out of 6 chance of failure, like 5 out of 6 times I succeed on whatever I hit, and I just play that. Okay, I did succeed, but don't really care about an untapped land right now, so I think I just ping them anyway. If I send in everybody and they block here, they take 1, 2, 3, 4, boop. I have to not send in with Coyote. If I could lethal them if they chose to block Coyote, then I would send in the Coyote as well. But here it's like, if they call that bluff and just kill my 2/2 for free, it's pretty bad for me. Because it only costs them one more life to keep their plant thing on the board. Alright, well now they have a free flyer as a blocker and 3 more spells in their hands. If we hit our active treason thing that steals one of their cards, it's probably the safest way to find lethal, but we've got a lot of random spicy stuff like that. Skewer the critics to the face would be big. No, more life gain removal. That's not good. And an Erranx and the big, gigantic dragon. Well, if I find the active treason, they are dead. We find a mountain. Well, that's bad, but they've only got 1 card left in hand, so if the card isn't pretty good, they can't afford to attack too hard here, so we still have some time to top deck stuff. Possum is pretty good, another blocker here. What do we draw? Another lands. Not like this. RIP. Oh, Lord. Now like a 6/6? 7/7? That's big. Kind of feels like we're out of top decks already. We just needed to find like the active treason or a ride down or something in the last few draws. At this point, I don't think it matters. This is a little too many blockers. I guess if they attack too aggressively, maybe not. Yeah, if they attack like this, we can still kill them off a ride down or something. Not a ride down, the active treason. So we do have to chump one here and take 10. But this does give us one last draw step to find the steal a creature card. But now I think that is probably the only card that kills them. Oh, the gigantic horse does too, so we've got 2 win cons. 2 shots at victory here. I guess it's technically better to probably kill the Erranx. Journey to Nowhere does not do it, it's too late. Alright, well, didn't draw our cards in the right sequence on that one in the end. We are 4-2. Here we are on the play for game 7. We're 4-2 right now. This is a risky keep. We want a white source, but all of our white cards are pretty great later in the game, so we don't need to hit the white source immediately here. Sad Coyote is sad. We just poke for 2 with it. Dock Orlok. Uh-oh. If you don't kill this thing real fast, your opponent's going to start dumping their hand out for like 0 mana. Plus it's a 2/3. Means it just stonewalls most 2 mana plays. We are just locked out here. I think it's a plot a 4/3 flyer for only 2 mana thanks to Dock. Well, there you have it. Probably 4-3 with this one. This deck was more fun than anything, so I'm pretty fine with a nice solid average run here. Just get our entry fee back and roll on again. We did some stuff for spice rather than for the best plays like return the favor, and we got to do some spicy things, so. God, they got to cast the Djinn and a 2/2 and hold up the counter for 2. If I try to shepherd here. Shepherd isn't even that good on this board, right? It just trades into the Djinn, and we don't reanimate anything with it. Shepherd isn't even very good. Anyway. Guess I probably still cast it because I have a Calamity coming up. And there's no other way to bait the counterspell out of their hand. I could just hold up a return the favor, but like they're not going to cast anything that targets anything. It's not going to do anything right now. Dude, we don't really have any good play. Like, if I really want to play around the counter, I just play a 2 mana 2/2, but Huh? No counter, so 4-3 it is. Which is unfortunate, because it's like, now I have something big enough that they would want to play removal on it, but if I didn't play this, they wouldn't cast the removal, so no matter what, Return the Favor doesn't work. If I don't play my 4-3, they're not going to shoot a 2-2 Coyote. If I do play my 4-3, I don't have the mana up to stop the removal, so more awkward plays from Return the Favor. The casual 2-mana 5-5 as well. Alright, I'm just moving on. This game is not swapping from here. 4 and 3. It is pretty disappointing last couple of games there. Yeah, there's not a lot we could do. But at least we had some really fun, hard-fought battles in the middle. And we played a very fun deck. I think, again, going for like the show-off and vigilante combo stuff like we did today is probably not the most consistent, best thing to do. Because at the wrong time, these cards don't really do much of anything. They just kind of underperform for their mana cost. But it is very fun. And when you get them to pop off, they can be crazy. Like when you get that ride down at the right time, you get some wild things going. But I generally probably wouldn't recommend these kind of build-arounds too much. The Prairie Dog is really easy to get going, though. I really recommend that one. But yeah, I would say those are kind of more fun cards than great cards. Same with like the Active Trees and kind of Take for a Ride stuff. And the Return the Favor. This is our biggest underperformer, I would say. Like, it was borderline at first, but it was just so awkward so often. I just don't think it lines up that well that often to be worth a card. Often it just feels like you've mulliganed. But, again, it is fun. Sometimes you get to steal your opponent's Tumbleweed trigger and double up the counters on your Prairie Dog. Or you get to randomly steal their lifesteal trigger, and all of a sudden they tapped out and didn't find lethal because you had Return the Favor, so you get to kill them on the crackbacks. That was cool. Calamity was huge. That just 10 damage out of nowhere pretty often. We never got to do anything really crazy with it, like Stagecoach Security or Shepherd with it and get all those ETB triggers, but it won the game a few times. I wouldn't call it an overperformer, though, because we also lost the game with it in our hand as a 6-mana play. Like, there were several games where its prohibitive mana cost was an issue. Like, I even think we had to discard it one game because we just couldn't find lands. So, yeah, if you resolve it and you're in a decent aggressive position, you're probably going to win, but you're not always going to resolve it, and sometimes you're in a really defensive position where it's not the greatest, like if you have no other creatures on board. So, yeah, overall, I think this deck's pretty average because it is trying to build really heavily around some things that don't pan out all the time, you know, like the Vigilante to show off stuff with the ride downs. And it could probably just be a bit stronger and more consistent if we just played generally powerful cards that don't need the right things to happen at the right times, the right synergies to show up and line up like that. So went for a less consistent, more fun brew, get the 4-3 as a result. But I'm pretty fine with that. Not a terrible record at all. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.